steps we started taking, particularly myself, was on the commission, started trying to build coalitions and communicating information that was pertinent to our future and how it would be impacted for coastal to be independent. Foremost, we thought the legislature would be fair if we could have a fair voice or an open voice to them without it going through the university's trustees and to the university president. The university had 9 campuses at that time, and of course they go to the table. A lot of things fall off the table as far as their priorities. So we felt like that if we could have that open channel to the legislature, that would help us with funding, that would help us with buildings and future needs of the institution. And so coalitions and communication with other groups inside not only the foundation but the Higher Education Commission in Georgetown and ORE, and then on campus trying to build information and communication with SGA, the faculty, and so forth, trying to build information and share information about what was going on and how we could help ourselves through the process. Found out probably prior to the report coming out that their report was going to be sort of watered down a little bit, and it felt like we need to work through some issues. And inside the commission, we decided not to accept their report, and that way we wouldn't have to actually go through the process of, I guess, releasing their total findings. And I think that was a good part of the process, and that we felt like that there was a minority report that was going to be issued that would talk about the positive comments about independence and what it may mean.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to issue a motion that we, the Horry County Higher Education Commission, accept the recommendation of the ad hoc committee and that we begin the process of making Coastal Carolina a freestanding state-supported institution, and that you appoint a transitional team committee of people to lead in the accomplishment of that objective.
Mr. Vice Chairman, thank you for that motion. Everybody, I think, understands that motion. I'll entertain a second.
Second the motion that we begin the process, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. We have on the floor a motion, a second. I'm going to ask all the commission members who are in favor of this, please stand up.
Clark, we ask the foundation to stand in.
I think all our commissioners are present except a proxy, which I have, and we'll attach to the minutes, and that proxy says yay. We are unanimous, and I'm going to turn the podium over to Mr. Malone for a request.
I would like our foundation members who would like to make a similar motion and a second. Is there a motion to a similar effect? From Billy Alford, and a second from Foster Smith. And those in favor, please stand up to endorse and ratify the action of the Commission. Of the foundation members present, it is unanimous.
Some of the fears of independence primarily came from faculty. The library services was one of the key things that I kept hearing from some of the, and then we were under contract with the university to provide those library services to us. And we tried to assure them this service would be available not only from possibly University of South Carolina, but possibly come from Clemson or other sources. And so initially the biggest fears came from the faculty. But I felt like that our biggest advocates, that was the most important advocates, were the students themselves. So once we got the cooperation as well as endorsement of the SGA, the Student Government Association, that this was going to be a good move for the students, I think that was a very critical turning point. We did a lot of comparisons with the other four-year campuses that were what we thought was par institutions to us, Francis Marion and Lander particularly. And once we put those comparable data out there and saw what the legislature had done for those two campuses over the last 10 years prior to us, they had grown 3 times our growth, and it was because of state funding, and they had access to the legislature. And but those two institutions helped us a lot. Dr. Smith at Francis Marion was very critical to help and provide a lot of information to us, and very supportive, as well as the current president at that time, Dr. Stanton at Francis Marion, was very supportive.
I recommend to our Board of Trustees that we pursue the independence in both name and administration of our campuses at Aiken, Coastal, and Spartanburg, to occur at the appropriate pace and the appropriate time for each campus and community. These events should proceed with sensitivity, care, and purpose. Our contractual agreements with these institutions do not reflect a perennial obligation. Rather, they reflect the potential there would be a time when our institutions matured to the point of independence.
That is the motion before you, and moved and seconded and discussed. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Record Mr. Von Mueller voted nay. The ayes have it, and it is sorted.
Since 1993, I think our students feel like they're getting a good quality education with an outstanding faculty this year, and we've been able to recruit outstanding faculty that want to come here and teach. And I think that we've been able to raise our academic standards. I think that has allowed us to do that. And now we're basically in a process of having a lot more applications coming in than what we can than what we can actually take in. So that's a good problem. Hopefully we can accommodate those needs in the future, but that seems to be a very positive issue right now. So, but I think there's a lot more pride on this campus today than there was in 1992, not only from the faculty right on to the students and so forth. And particularly, I think the alumni are proud of what's happened to Coastal since it became independent.
To all of the people that had a vision a long time ago, it set up classes in an old high school that created access to opportunity for young people to advance their dreams of higher education. I say thank you. The people here had a vision for the future, and that vision, of course, is coming true to the nth degree today, because in fact the evolution from going to those classes, from affiliation with a school in Charleston, from rising to the point of being a regional campus, to this historic day when in fact there will be created a university, was a marvelous trip.
The dreams of those who fought for Coastal Carolina's independence finally came true in the spring of 1993. Their years of planning, their patience, and their unflinching resolve against all odds was rewarded with the result they had sought. The South Carolina Commission on Higher Education approved the initiative, and the General Assembly provided the supporting legislation. It was truly a team effort among the Commission members, the Foundation Board, and the legislative delegation. The legislation was signed by Governor Carroll Campbell on the front steps of the Edward M. Singleton Building, and on July 1st, 1993, Coastal Carolina University began in earnest to establish itself as a premier institution of higher education.